grows when you come out my way. That's why my field stays packed on Fridays. We hunting, fishing, good living, just soaking up every country second we're giving.
Hey, it's Justin Kelly and Laura Starling, the Old Boots podcast, and today we are very, very excited to sit down with Barry Williams. Hey, Barry.
Hey, Laura. Hey, Justin.
Hey, Mr.
Thanks
Barry.
for
How's
having
it
me
going?
in here. I appreciate it.
We're glad to have you. We appreciate you coming out here to the country.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't been here in a while. It's good old Jones County. It's always good to come back.
Lots of good folks out here. We're glad you came out, and we're going to hold you up here for about an hour or so, and maybe go outside and do some fun things, and just kind of hang out and get some stories from you because we know you're loaded with them.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, they say most of them are stories too. So some people call them lies, but let's
leave that
stick
up
with
to us.
stories. Yeah,
There you go.
Well,
That's
you
right.
can see we're all loaded up in our hunting gear, so we're hoping that maybe a little bit later on this afternoon we're going to do some dove hunting. But for anybody who might not know, Barry Williams is father to Jason Aldean and Cassie Wicks. Did she change her name to Wicks?
she did. Yes, Cassie Wicks. She's married to Chuck Wicks. He's an entertainer, country music writer, songwriter, entertainer. Great guy. One of my favorite people in the world.
So we want to talk to Barry a little bit about the kids, but also just about Barry is like one of the most interesting people I know. He's just a lot of fun and always a good time. And maybe a little bit about your background because you are retired military.
I am, yeah. I graduated. I'll just start from kind of the beginning. And
You were born a poor.
I was born a poor sharecropper son. No, I was actually born over in Thomaston, Georgia, and we moved when I was about 6. We moved out to Warner Robins, Georgia, and from there we moved to Macon. I graduated high school there in 1971. Boy, got to say that quick because that's a while ago.
We're not calculating your age, we
Right,
promise.
yeah, I hear you. But so in 1971, I graduated, went into the Air Force, and just thought I'd go in for like 4 years, get a little education and a trade. Well, I wound up staying 23 years, and it was probably the best thing that could happen for me. I grew up in South Macon, in the housing projects, really. So, there was only one way out, and I thought it was military or college. I didn't have the money for college or the brains for it, so I went in the military. So anyway, I got out, did 23 years in there, and got out, moved back to Macon or to Monticello, Georgia, right down the road, and kind of stayed there about 20-something years, helped, got in the music business with Jason. Anyway, we stayed in Monticello. Of course, Jason went on to do what he does and moved to Nashville. So we've been up there about 7 or 8 years now. My daughter, Cassie, moved up there. So you had to follow the family, so
That's
that's
right.
where we are.
Absolutely, living
Did
the
I-
granddad life.
Did I hear you say, let's go back a little bit to the
Okay.
Air Force thing. Did I hear you say that you work for NASA?
I did. I actually did. I did about, I think it was 8 or 9 years active duty. Then I went in as a full-time reservist down in Homestead, Florida, and then I transferred up to the Space Coast. We did some NASA work, but I worked for the Air Force. It's now the Space Command, I think, but on Cape Canaveral, the Air Force had all those launch pads. We launched all these GPS satellites you use now. That was my program. I was in the quality assurance. That was one of my programs. So we did that and did a lot of NASA stuff. So got to meet some pretty interesting people down there. It was a good time. And
Oh yeah, that's always a good time, and,
Yeah.
and NASA. There's all kind of interesting things that were going on. They were coming up with things that were breakthroughs back then. Now we're relying on private companies to do it, but back then you guys were. I mean, you were flying by the seat of your pants, I guess, and just coming up with processes and inventing things as you go, right?
yeah, they came up with the freeze dried ice cream back in the day. So I mean,
There you go.
No, they did. They had a lot of good programs, and they had to develop special needs stuff for space, you know, and it was just fun being a part of all that and watching the growth. At one time, I think we had, while I was there, we put a constellation of, I think it was 26 GPS satellites that orbit the Earth. We didn't know how long they would last at the time. You know, we didn't have a history, so we thought, you know, a couple of years. Some of them were up like 20-something years. They were still functioning. So, you know, that was
And back then, I mean, sending something to the, you know, to the space or to orbit, that was a huge thing. Now they're kind of just, you know, doing it every day like it's nothing to it. But back then, I mean, just putting something in orbit was a feat in itself, right? Yeah,
they've had a little glitch here recently. Our two astronauts,
They're stuck.
6-day mission is a year now,
right?
Or whatever.
Who would have ever saw that coming?
yeah. I mean, they're trained for it. They're good.
Oh yeah, Elon's going to go rescue them, from what I hear.
And he'll pay them well when they get back. So
there you go.
Well, I know that from the military, you kind of went to the music business, and we went back a ways with that. We were talking about when Jason was about 14 years old and wanted to pursue music. When did you know he had some talent?
You know, Laura, it really early on, me and his mother got divorced. He was like 2 years old. I was stationed in Florida. So, but we, you know, I'd come up and I'd get him, take him down for, you know, vacations and stay with us for months at a time. And, but he'd be, you know, 3 or 4 years old. We'd be riding around, maybe driving back from Macon down to Florida. And this was before seatbelts were required. I had an old 78 Thunderbird and, you know, big old land yacht. And he'd be standing in the back seat, you know, and every song that came on, he was, you know, he had the little kid's voice, but his pitch was good. He was, you know, knew when to change registers and all that. But his big thing was, and still is, he can memorize, he knows every word to every song, never forgets words. So anyway, I'm like, man, that's pretty good, you know, and as it developed, and he started school and he kept singing and stuff, but he would never sing. Even in high school, he wouldn't sing for his friends. They didn't even know he sang. He was going to Nashville South during school. I think he'd go on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. He was playing to 1 o'clock in the morning. His classmates didn't know what he did.
Wow.
So,
flying undercover.
You know, I don't want them making fun of me, you know, and stuff. I'm like, they need to know this stuff, Jason.
That's right.
But he wouldn't, you know, he didn't let them know. And he was, you remember those days, Nashville South, he was 16, 17.
And the original Nashville South, we're talking about over on Riverside Drive in Macon.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, across the street from like T.Y. Gibson over there?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
I forget what it was before that.
I think there's a church there now. I think
Maybe, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
But
so there's a lot of history in that.
Scarlet Garter or some other club back in the day. I can't remember what it was. But, yeah, he went in there. He was they do like guest nights once a week, and there was a band in there called the Young Guns, and so he'd get up and sing with them. They were all young; they were his age. But they had a little house gig there, and he sat in with them. And next thing you know, they became friends, and they're still friends, a lot of them today. And so he kind of started fronting the band, and they graduated high school in '95, and we went on the road. You know, I told him, I said, I'll take when you graduate. I figured he'd be like 65 before he graduated.
Right.
You know, he's not a school guy, but he made it happen. So we went on the road and started playing, branching out from Macon, you know, 300, 600 mile radius. And a lot of times we didn't even break even. You know, back then clubs were like 3 nights a week.
Right.
You know, usually Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at least. So
right.
If we could get a 3-day gig, we would gross $1,500 for the total 3 days, $500 a night. Yeah.
Now, I know before you went on the road, Jason Williams and Young Guns played the chili cook-off for us. We probably didn't pay you, but about $20.
Matter of fact, I don't remember getting paid.
You're doing your local clubs, your local gigs, and then now all of a sudden you're packing up a van and hitting the road.
Yep. So that's what we did. We would, you know, before he could just drive to the gig in Macon, was making the same money, but you got to kind of branch out like anything. So we did, and got to meet some really good people. Got to open for some good folks. Confederate Railroad. Danny Shirley was one of them. I'm still friends with Danny, and who else? David Allen Coe.
Oh yeah.
Story on him. We opened a show. I think it was in Albany, Georgia. Well, one of David Allen Coe's, he didn't want the air conditioner on. So, like, okay, so we go in, and it's this club, 300 people in it. It's hot. People are sweating.
Smoky,
Is
I'm
the air
sure.
conditioner broke or what? The guy says, no. I said, David doesn't want the AC on. Like, you got to be kidding me. So we did the show anyway. He never spoke to us, but
Wow.
we did the show with him. And so later, I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, Haggard came to town. And so I went down to see him. He was going to do a show somewhere. That's when he got sick, right before he passed away. So we were me and a guy out of California a guy out of Nashville were trying to put a movie together about Merle. He was all in, and, so we met at the hotel. So we're in there, and everybody left, and me and him are just sitting there, and I'm kind of like, man, this is Merle Haggard. I'm sitting here at the table with Merle, and so I'm winging it. Greatest, nicest guy you ever met. Very intelligent. I mean, he's really smart, could talk about anything. So somehow we got on when he did what he called it the joint. When I was in the joint, he went to prison. He was like 20 years old, went to San Quentin. But so he said, so yeah, now all these people talking about they were in the joint, like David Allen Coe. He said he was in the joint. Nobody's ever heard which joint he was in. When you're in the joint, and he kept using the word joint. When you're in the joint, you don't tell people you're in the joint, And so we had a good conversation about him being in prison, but great guy to talk to. And
I just know it being a parent, you're seeing the desire from Jason. Jason is singing at these clubs and until 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, going to high school and churning and paying his dues. And, you had the resources, not necessarily that you were rich, but you had the resources to help him chase his dream. And I'm sure that meant a lot to him, and probably will forever mean a lot to you that you were being able to be a part of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of our best times, I remember, we'd do a gig in Albany, say, and on the way, it's a 3-hour ride or whatever back. So, he would stay awake a lot of times, the band would be asleep, and, it just gave us time to talk at night. And, it was good times, and I got to spend time with him that, normally when a kid's a teenager, especially a boy, they don't have time for you. So
Right.
that gave us some common ground to, get to know each other better, and kind of, he likes to hear about the old times, the family, my family growing up, and stories about. I don't think he believes half the stuff I tell him, but he likes to hear
Is everything you tell him true, Barry?
Oh, you know it, Laura, all of it. So
I know you did tell me that, because we talked about this one time before, when you went to Nashville and made the first album, which was Jason Williams and the Young Guns, right?
Well, actually, we had changed his name. His people say
Had he already
William.
changed it?
Yeah, we had changed it. I told him, I said, Jason, there's Hank Williams, there's Hank Jr., Hank the Third, Jet Williams, Don Williams. There's a million Williams up there because it's the seventh most common name in this country. And I said, why don't we do something different? Use your middle name. His middle name is spelled Aldine. So we tried that for a minute, and people were saying Aldean. So we changed it to the way it's pronounced.
Uh-huh.
So it was Jason. Yeah, the first album was Jason Aldean.
Jason Aldean and Young
Yeah.
Guns. And when you guys went to Nashville and made that album, how much did that cost?
Well, the songs we didn't have to buy because we had written the songs. I think me and Jason had 2 that we had written together on there, and with a guy named Robert Willis out of Savannah, who's since passed away. But we had a couple on there. Justin Weaver, who is, it's crazy how it comes around. Justin was in Jason's band. He was same age. They were about 17. He had written a couple of songs. on there. Now Justin writes for Jason's publishing company in Nashville,
Nice.
and
Wow.
he's had a couple of big pop hits, number ones, and then we had one. You remember Kurt Powers
Yes.
from Ocala, Florida? He had a regional song that he had done. Kurt had. It's called "Cowboy Lady." It was a really really great song, and Kurt. I called Kurt. I knew him and called him. I said, "Can we cut this song?" He said, "Yeah, man, I'd love to." So he love for you too. So we did. Jason cut it. We went to Nashville. We cut, I think it was 10 or 12 songs on that album. I think we had and we ordered, I think 1,000 albums through this company later. We had a total of like $2,000 in this album.
Wow.
That was with artwork and the whole deal. So,
Low
yeah.
budget.
Yeah.
$2,000.
So we sold them all, and I told Jason, I said, "Yeah, we went plywood on this one. That's the way to do it." Yeah.
So, I mean, during that time, I mean, we're talking nowadays, if they were selling CDs, they would be $25, $30 a piece. But back then, $5, $10.
We were hoping to get 10, but
10.
you could talk me down.
You wasn't going to let them go to the car over 5.
My wife and daughter did the merch a lot of times for them. We had T-shirts and CDs and 8x10s. That's how we kind of supplemented
Absolutely.
the gas money to get to where
That's
we
how a
needed
lot
to
of
go.
artists get by.
Yeah, we had to. Well, you figure I ran the sound, so I didn't get paid for anything. But he had a 5-piece band. We made the most was $500. I mean, I had to, really go after it for 500. But we had to pay. Say if we went to wherever, Charlotte, North Carolina, you got to buy hotel rooms. You got to buy. I would. This is no lie. We could afford one room. There was no way I was sleeping in there with 5 teenage boys. No way. I slept in the van.
I hear you.
And
All you needed was a shower in the morning.
that's
Get
it.
out of the way,
Shower.
boys.
I'd use a shower. I'd get my towel first.
There
when
we go.
checked in, I'd get a towel. And so we would do that. And, these guys would always trying to score a beer somewhere, and they usually did. So I didn't have to hear about that. So I'd sleep in the van. But getting back to it, $500, even though gas was not $3 a gallon then, but it was still relative to what we made. It
Right.
was a lot of money. So hotel room, feeding them, and they would usually walk away with about $35 a piece a night. Each
Wow.
band member, including Jason.
And they were happy.
They were happy, yeah.
They were happy as
They
they
got
could
to get
be.
out of Monroe and Jones County. So it was
Traveling
fun.
the world, the Southeast. Yeah.
And
fun.
singing and doing what they
Singing
wanted
and
to
meeting
do.
girls. I think that was
Their
what it was
payment.
all about in the beginning. The girls and that, and it worked out pretty good for them. But it was fun. But they learned a lot. I mean, Jason and his band was they're one of the few that are still out there now that went through the club scenes and the bars and just we played in some places I wouldn't want my kids walking in.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as we were talking earlier, before we started the podcast, nowadays people can get famous on TikTok and social media, and they don't have to go pay the dues like Jason had to and people of his era. And that's not that long ago. I mean, in 20 years that happened.
Yeah.
And so nowadays, not saying they don't work hard to get where they're at.
It's different.
It's
It's a different type of work. Yeah. They, now you can get, you don't need a record label. You can get on TikTok and like you said, and be a superstar overnight.
Right.
Or you can go on one of these reality shows and, we did that was not available back then. You did Whiskey River Talent Night, and
Right.
hope you won that, and then your local community knew who you were. I used to call my friends when he'd do the talent nights at Whiskey River. I'd say, "Come down to Whiskey River
We
and
need
clap
everything."
for Jason, and I'll
Right.
buy you a beer."
Come stand in. I promise that you won't leave thirsty.
Yeah, I'll buy you a beer.
And so we're talking to the original Whiskey River too, not the new one that
Yeah.
everybody knows that just shut down a few years
Right,
back.
yeah.
The original
he
one
played the
on
original.
Pine Avenue in Macon.
Yep.
Okay.
So you played
Wow.
on the road, you went here, you went there, you played the bars, you did everything. And then I remember when Jason decided he was going to move to Nashville. And what do you think changed things then?
Well, he'd been just kind of rocking along, and to be honest, we had done the wild game cook-off at Culloden.
Yes.
So we were out there, and it was just, it was just one of those shows, and we were, military retirees don't make a lot of money, and that's what we were living on at the time, and we'd been doing this for about 2 or 3 years at the time. So I'm like, I got to get back to work, or you're going to have to be a superstar real quick.
Something's got to happen quick.
Something's got to go here. So I had my daughter was in private school in Monticello, and we like to eat every once in a while. So we needed to do something. So Michael Knox, who is, for the people that don't know, he's probably my favorite person in Nashville. But Michael Knox also, I don't know if you knew this, Laura, he has ties to Macon. Michael Knox is the son of Buddy Knox, who had a hit song back in the 50s, "Come Along, Be My Party Doll." It's an old...
That is...
Yeah, I don't know if you know that.
Actually a classic song.
It is a classic.
A Party Doll is... Justin, do you know Party Doll?
That was way before my time.
Okay, so we're looking at the age differences here.
Yeah,
there's me, there's Barry, me, and there's Justin. Justin's 20 years behind us. So yeah, you'll have to listen to Party Doll sometime.
Yeah, it's still it's a classic song.
Yes.
It's but anyway, Michael's mother was from Macon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she went on and married Buddy Knox, who did Party Doll, and Buddy got divorced. And anyway, Michael stayed in Nashville. He was, at the time we met him, the Buckboard Lounge in Atlanta called me, and we had played there one time, so the owner called me and said, "Hey, Mark Wills is leaving. He got a record deal." The guy managed Mark. He said, "Mark is leaving, got a record deal. I'd like for Jason to come up and take his place." He said, "I guarantee you we'll get him a record deal." Because he knew everybody in Nashville. I'm like, that sounds good to me. And I think I kind of got away from what I was talking about, the cook-off, but I'm going to...
No, that's good.
That's
this
okay.
way anyway.
You're going in the right direction.
I do that a lot.
That's good.
I'll change directions on you.
Oh, yeah.
But so anyway, we go up there, and they loved him, and we talked to the guy, and he said, "I don't need your band, though." And Jason was, they were all his friends, and they were good musicians, and he said, "Well, I don't know. I think I'm going to just keep doing what I'm doing for a while." So we did. So getting back to the chili cook-off, this is later.
Right.
He says, I told him, I said, "Man, something's got to happen." So then Michael Knox calls from Nashville and says, or the guy at the Buckboard called and said, "Michael Knox is coming in from Nashville." I'm like, "Who's Michael Knox?" He said, "Well, he is the head of Warner Chapel Music in Nashville." Okay, so he said, "So if y'all want to come back and play, we're doing a showcase. There's going to be 5 bands." I said, "All right." So we go up, and we played a showcase, and Michael Knox was there, and he comes up to him. He looked like a kid. He was 28 years old. Michael was. I said, and I didn't know who he was.
Right.
He said, "I'm Michael Knox, and Jason needs to come to Nashville." And he said, "I run a publishing company up there." Well, Jason, we didn't even really know what a publishing company did.
Right.
I said, "So you're not a record label?" "No, but I'd like to give him a development deal," and we bring him up, and I said, "Well, we'll talk about it." So he came out several more times to hear him, and they offered him to go to Nashville. They said, "We'll pay you to come up and write songs." I said, "Well, how much are you going to pay him? He's got to live." $1,300 a month they paid him.
Wow.
A month.
A month. I said, "He's in." That's 13 more than he's making now.
That's right.
So, but that gave me an opportunity to go back to work, and between his mother helped and we helped, and so he was able to move to Nashville then, and kind of started his path that way.
Right.
So
that's what I was going to ask. Is it sounds like that was maybe his kind of first thing that led to the big break, but. Was there, because you're a man that has good morals and stuff. I've just hung around with you for an hour now, and I can tell you're an upstanding man. And so I know you got a strong spirit of discernment on you. So along the time, when he was 14 to when he headed to Nashville, were there some people that you were responsible for going, telling him, hey, don't mess with these guys. They're con artists, or you didn't feel good about them, or they were trying to blow smoke up.
Yeah. Well, and that's, unfortunately, it still happens in Nashville. And I try to, these young artists, I mean, I got a bunch of them. I give them my number, say, call me, before you do something crazy.
Absolutely.
I'm not looking for anything. I don't need
Want to be a mentor.
I don't want a job. I don't, but maybe I can, help avoid what we almost fell for.
Right.
They'd call you and say, hey, if you got, we'll bring Jason to town and to Nashville, because that's where it all happens. We'll bring him up. We'll cut 3 songs and, we'll get him on radio. Well, 3 songs, I said, well, how much? Well, $1,000 a song, which was a lot of money for us,
Oh, yeah.
I said, so we didn't do it. And the ones that did do it, they forget to tell you, we're going to get you on radio. They don't tell you it's Siberia AM station at
Right.
noon, at midnight. But I saw a lot. We were approached by a lot of people that, thought, I don't know how they could have looked at me and thought I had any money, but they, they'll still take every penny you've got up there. I mean, Laura and I know, I won't call any names. There's somebody up there that we both know, trying to do some stuff musically. And that was my first conversation with him when I met him. This friend of ours, I just told him, man, if people think you got $1, they're going to want 2 of it. So.
Absolutely. I mean, you just see stories all the time where these artists and celebrities have signed bad contracts.
Oh.
And they, people would think that these people are worth $100 million,
Yeah.
but they're still
Nothing.
driving around in, a 10-year-old car and don't even own a home at that time,
Nothing.
and
Yeah.
it's because of the schemesters, I guess you would call.
That's all they are. They're just,
Right.
and they'll drop names on you that they have no contact with.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
I know so and so, and people don't have a clue.
Oh yeah.
It's been interesting, some of the people we've met like that, but we've met some of the best people too.
Oh, absolutely.
There's some great people. Michael Knox being one. He, Jason wrote for him for like 5 years before. And Jason, he's not a disciplined writer. He's a really good writer, but he's not a guy that can say, okay, we're going to meet at 2:00 in the afternoon and 4 of us, and we're going to write us a hit. He'll wake up. He used to call me from Nashville at 2:00 in the morning. What do you think of this line? Like, if it wasn't 2:00 in the morning, I'd probably think a lot more.
Probably
of it,
sound a
but-
little better.
but I'd listen and but that's who he was. But I don't think he ever probably fulfilled his writing commitment to Warner Chappell. But Michael saw something and said, we're going to develop you and make it happen. It was only 7 years difference in their ages probably. So now, Michael's like his older brother. He has produced Jason's got 10 albums out now, I think, and Michael produced every one of them.
That's awesome.
great,
So
yeah.
that's
A lasting friendship, and they know they can trust each other,
yeah.
and are good at working with each other.
Yeah, so-
obviously.
but he's done well. Michael's done well. He's produced Hank. He produces everybody that comes to town now because of his success with Jason. But when Jason didn't have any money and he'd get depressed, Michael would call him, come over, let's go drive race cars. Let's go to the movies. He'd take him to his house, and his wife would cook for him. He would give him gift cards to go eat at P.F. Chang's or something,
Right.
And Jason lived when I moved him up there, his apartment, I think it was 550 square feet. It was like living on a piece of plywood,
Right.
Mm.
Being able to be involved in charity, and a lot of the givers in the world are not the richest people. Okay. And I was just kind of curious about maybe some story that you had, because, when y'all were coming up, I'm sure every single person that was trying to do a charity event or a charity concert or something like that would hit y'all up all the time. And
Yeah.
it wasn't that you didn't want to do it maybe sometimes, but you financially, you needed to do something on that Saturday night that could
Yeah.
put gas in the
That
van.
that made money for you. And
Yeah. I mean, and it's still that way today with Jason and Kenny Chesney, all those artists. They love their charities. Jason's in town this weekend. One of his big ones is this children's hospital here in Macon at
Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Yes.
he'll
So-
be at the Grand.
Yeah, so he'll be at the Grand this weekend, or not this weekend, Thursday night, and all the proceeds from that go to that. He's he never pats himself on the back or any of that, but he's helped out a lot there, and he loves giving back. So yeah, that's one of the things. He's one of his big ones, and there's a lot of others that people don't even know about it. He does.
Oh, I'm sure.
He
I
never
mean,
gets
countless
credit for
now.
it, but he doesn't need credit for
But
it.
looking back, maybe 15 years ago when he wasn't as financially
Yeah.
secure, there were still people all the time. Can you do this for us? Can you do that for us? I mean, but you guys obviously paid your dues, and
Yeah.
I'm sure partook in a lot of the charitable events, even when
we
you
did. Yeah, I mean,
it affected
even back when we were in Macon here, we do stuff, the charity stuff. I mean, and it makes you feel good to do it, but you can't do all of them
Right.
charity. You gotta.
That's right. You
gotta
can't
make
save the
gas
world. You
money.
got to make some money.
Yeah, you got to pick the ones you want to save first.
That's right.
And so yeah, it was a lot of that. We'd get a lot of stuff like that, and a lot of times it would be like, go to Columbia, South Carolina, come over here and do this charity for us, and we'll give you some barbecue.
Right.
Yeah, and then
No
it
gas money,
And they don't
ends
want
up
to,
costing a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. So it would cost us, but you kind of do that for the right reasons,
Right.
and you do it, kind of a selfish reason too. You want people you want to get in front of people. So if it was for us back then, if it was 1,000 people there, that was a big deal.
absolutely.
We would bite the bullet on it, and
Over the last 4 or 5 years, I've become friends with Miss Beverly Knight Olson, and she has nothing but praises to sing about you and Jason.
great.
Of course, there's a road right in front of the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital. For people that are listening that don't know, it's Jason Aldean Way,
Yeah.
right? And it was named after him because he is one of the biggest givers, if not the biggest giver, to the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital, because he believes in something, and it's right here in his hometown.
Yep.
And he knows that it's going to a great cause, and there's always things going on here in Central Georgia for that hospital. But like when y'all were local here, was there another thing that maybe you in Central Georgia that you like to be involved with, maybe other than the Children's Hospital? Was there some other things that kind of tugged at your heart that was important to you?
Well, I mean, of course, all these good charities, especially kids. I mean, I have 8 grandkids, so we always did that. But one of my favorites is St. Jude's
Okay.
Children's Hospital. That's to me probably the best charity in this country,
Right.
especially for kids. But there's so many of them out there, and so little money to go around. So
Absolutely.
you
And
can't do them all.
and for people listening, we also, want to encourage you to get involved in all of these different charities that all our guests are a part of. And with St. Jude, is easy, and they harp on, hey, any little thing helps, and so they start at like $20 a month. You can
Yeah.
commit to them. They send you a shirt that's worth $30 or $40 when you start. And I mean, I think I've been with St. Jude for 5 or 6 years now, and it's it's less than a phone bill that comes out of
Yeah,
your
it's
account.
really cheap,
Yes.
and but the good they do. No, you never. I mean, these families that go in there with really sick kids, they don't pay a dime,
That's right.
nothing. They pay the whole deal,
That's right.
and so all that money. I don't know the percentage. It's really high. That
St.
goes-
Jude's is highest than pretty much any other
Yeah.
one. I mean, they put it all to work.
That and Tunnels to Towers is another great one. I love that one.
Tell us about that one. What do they
That's
do?
the one. The guy lost his fireman brother, younger brother, in 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah,
Okay.
he had all this gear, and he's going to the tower. He got killed there, so his brother started his foundation. But I think, just about almost 100% of the money goes toward building houses for, first responders, military, people that lost, military guys that lost their lives. They'll pay their mortgage off or build them a house that, helps them to adapt to their new life after they've lost limbs. So it's a great, great charity.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. It says supporting wounded veterans, and all financial donations are tax deductible. Of course, they're a 501c3. Their website is t2t.org. So anybody that is listening or watching out there that wants to get involved with that, just go to that website, and of course you can see how to get involved with that as well. So,
And if you're in Memphis, you can visit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. They have tours available all the time.
Yeah, just pretty much every day, I think.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you happen to find yourself near the Memphis area, just give them a call or go by. You'll get a tour of the hospital and you'll be amazed.
Yep. If you cry easy, if you're
Yeah,
an
if
easy one to cry, you might want to watch, because it's the stuff you see in there it can get to you. So
Oh,
you
absolutely.
guys,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like you said, you have 8 grandchildren, and obviously family is the most important thing.
yeah, to me it is. I mean, that's when everything else goes away, that's what you have left.
Yeah,
Family.
my dad's been dead for about 6 years now, and one of the only things I can remember, one of the things that lasted with me is before he died, my daughter was about 3, and I remember he looking at me when he was sick, and he said, "Son, I thought I loved y'all." Talking
Yeah.
about me and my daughter, me and my sister, but he said, "But I really love my granddaughter,"
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that was his only grandchild, and
Yep.
so they say it's a different kind of love. It's a love that the kids just don't get.
It's absolutely. I mean, Jason and Cassie, they'll say, "Well, you never let us get away with that."
That's right.
You'd have beat us half to death. Yeah, because I didn't like you that much.
That's right.
Yeah, you didn't like them as much as the grandkids.
No.
I do see your Facebook videos and different. You're always filming those kids having they have a good time with their granddaddy.
Yeah. I make sure they do. I mean, that's I didn't. Some of my best memories, I guess, when I was a kid, was living at my grandparents' house. So, it's I try to give them that too. Both my kids, Cassie's, successful and busy, and it just seems like everybody's life's busier now.
Right.
Jason's busy, so not that they don't want to. They spend as much time with their kids as they can, but I don't have anything else to do. So,
Right.
a lot of sugar, a lot of
There you go.
spoil them, and
Well, I don't know if they go to school or if they're homeschooled or what, but I was just listening the other day to a podcast, and Kid Rock, they were asking him, what's the favorite thing you do nowadays? He said, "I'll be honest, man. Grandparents' Day at my grandchild's school, that's what I really love to do. I look forward to that all year, every year, and I'm sure you get to go do Grandparents'
we
Day
do,
or at churches or schools or whatever with them.
sporting
Absolutely.
events. We love that. So we have something pretty much every day.
I can imagine with 8 grandkids.
Yeah.
And they're all living in the Nashville area.
Yeah, we have one in Thomasville.
Okay.
She moved down there. She's helping run a wedding venue on a farm.
Very
The
nice.
kid I never would have thought would be out birthing cows and doing all that stuff. Like, that's just weird to see you doing that.
Right. But it
He's
worked
happy,
out.
loves it, and good for her.
There you go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so, growing up, and coming from modest backgrounds and stuff, and, we know that, of course, Jason has been financially blessed and that kind of thing, but what is one of the, I always have people ask me this, and we're always wondering this, but like, what is one of the biggest downfalls of being on top of the mountain or that journey, like that? Maybe not, privacy or something like that, but what's one of the biggest battles, I guess, you had as he was getting more popular?
Me
Things that
personally?
you personally, yes, sir.
You kind of, I love being around good people,
Right.
obviously here, but
Mhm.
you see people that, well, I'll give you an example. I go to like a school reunion when I was in grade school.
Right.
Well, I had friends, but like everybody, you have your own circle, and you have others that didn't really want to talk to you much. I'll go there, and now it's like, I remember we did this and that, and I'm thinking, I wouldn't say it to them. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm like, you didn't even talk to me. What are you talking
Right,
about?
exactly.
You didn't
Oh,
give me
yeah.
a second look.
Mm-hmm.
I had a crush on you back then. No, you didn't. You thought I was, just what I was.
Exactly.
Dumb little ugly kid.
That's right. I can imagine on a local scale, I can see that happening in some of my friends' lives. So I can
Yeah.
only imagine, you had friends coming out of the woodwork,
Oh, you
and
do.
Jason, I'm sure, had friends and
Even relatives,
Yes.
that
that
I mean,
didn't have anything to do with you.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't loan you $1 if they had $1 million.
That's right.
And not that I'd ever ask them, but they now it's like, if you ever need anything, well, where were you when I needed
When
something?
you needed something.
That's right.
Well, no, so maybe that's some of the downfalls, but like, what are some of the advantages to being on top?
I think you get to do a lot of stuff. I mean, I get to do a lot of stuff now, with Jason and and other people. I mean, like this.
Right.
I mean, I've known you a long time, and I'd probably be doing this anyway because you probably couldn't. I mean, trying to get somebody else to do it. You scrape the bottom of the barrel.
Oh,
and
boy.
call me. And,
No,
No,
we
I'm
didn't.
kidding.
No, we didn't.
but we
because-
meet really good people. I've met some of the best people. I've got to meet other artists that I would have never met that I'm big fans of and listened to their music for 50 years. I've got to meet them. Everybody from like Kenny Rogers to whoever.
Absolutely.
These young guys coming up. Good example. Travis Dennings from out here in Bon Air. He's having a
He's doing phenomenal
he's
right now.
working it, yeah. And I've known Travis. I worked with his granddaddy out at the base
Mhm.
for several years. We were real good friends. So I've got to know Travis. He was in a band that I managed another artist. Well, he was the lead guitar and that player in that band. So I've got to know him. Got to travel with him early on. On the bus and joking. And I still hear from him. He still calls me. I talk to him.
I talked
Yeah.
to Travis's mom, and she says Barry is a good guy. She goes, he gave Travis a job playing guitar when he went to Nashville,
Yeah.
and has always taken care of Travis.
Travis, I love Travis. He's just one of those good old country boys and has done well. One of the best guitar players I ever heard.
Yes.
Left-handed.
Yeah,
guitar
nobody
player.
knew that he could play the guitar. I remember being at the Cox, and he just, because he's a singer now versus, but they gave him a guitar, and he just came alive.
He can rip it, and but he's been good to me too. I owned when he came to town. He's like most artists. He wanted to do it on his own. So what he did, me, Justin Moore, and Justin's manager, and Justin's producer, there was four of us, bought some of his publishing. We didn't know what was going to happen. We knew he needed some,
Right.
he wanted to make it in Nashville. So we gave him not a lot of money either. It was very little money to have some of his songs he wrote over that period.
Right.
Well, he's a really great writer. They had one song. He's got one that was on one of Jason's albums.
He's got this new song out with Carrie Underwood and
Cody Johnson.
and Cody Johnson. Yeah, he's the songwriter on that.
Yeah, that just came out last week. It's going to be a smash hit. So as a result of that and some of the other songs, I had Sony contacted us, wanted to buy our portion of that catalog. So, I'm kind of getting long in the tooth here. I might need that money.
Right.
So we're, so he was good to me in that aspect that I got to, help him. And now as a
Absolutely.
And now
result,
he's
it's helping me.
Helping
So,
you.
Yeah. So
And-
that's the way it works.
Yeah, and you're giving back, and you're doing things that for other young artists that you wish somebody could have done for y'all.
And speaking of that, Justin, I do want to touch on the fact that you do go and speak to groups of songwriters, aspiring artists, and that kind of thing.
I do, yeah. I just love the music, always have. And like I tell everybody, I could have probably been a big star, except I didn't have money, looks, or talent. So other than that, I could have been big.
But you were close.
I was.
You were real close.
I had 0 of the 3 it takes, but other than that,
Right.
But yeah, I do. I go. I enjoy going meeting these kids, and just like you were talking about earlier, Justin, just telling them the pitfalls and what to watch for out there.
Right.
There's a lot of wolves out there, and so I go and talk to them, do a seminar, listen to their music, give them my email address. I don't give most of them my phone number because they'll call you at 3:00 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
like Jason used to. But I encourage them to call me. If you need something before you sign anything, call me and make sure you got an attorney. And so they do. I've got one right now. She's on The Voice.
Okay.
Right now, she's going through that process and doing well. That I've kind of
Mentored.
Yeah, just a little bit. She's doing great. Her name's Katie O. She's out of Jacksonville. Real cute little country girl, and you have to check her out. But
Definitely will.
Yeah, so I enjoy watching them, like with Travis. It's like watching Jason all over again, coming doing his thing, and we do stuff. My wife Vivian and I will have a bunch of these young people out at our house. She'll cook a good Cuban meal, and they'll sit on our back porch and play and their latest songs and stuff. And I started that because a few of the guys, I had songwriters. They'd come to town and said, "Well, we don't know what to do," and so I do it and let them network, get them out there. My nephew, who's from over here in Milledgeville, he's doing real well. Logan Crosby, I don't know if y'all know him, but Logan's doing really good out there. So he graduated from UGA 2 years ago. He moved the day he graduated. He moved to Nashville, moved in with us, and so I started getting people out there, writers, to come out and write, so he could meet them. He started writing with them, and he's blowing it up there. So that's my way of just putting them together.
And I think that's neat because they do need people who have been through it, know what's going on,
Yeah.
and encouragement and advice and wisdom.
Well, I don't know about the wisdom, but I can give them a lot of advice. Some people say it's not worth a whole lot, but no, we've enjoyed it, and I've watched several of them go on to do stuff like Logan, and there's just
You said Logan is your nephew?
my nephew.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. And that's LoganCrosby.com, Logan Crosby, CROSBY.com. I'm looking
I
at it
actually
here, man.
invited Logan to come down and hang out with us today. He said he was going to call you. I don't know if he ever
I didn't
did.
even know if he was in town. I can't keep up with him. He's so
I think
busy.
he got back in town Sunday, and he goes, "So I'm going to call Barry." He goes, "Maybe I can ride with him." I said, "I think Barry's going to Florida when he wraps
Well, that
up
was
in
my
May."
plan. I was doing a seminar down there, and that, because of the storm, that got canceled. So I didn't know that. I'd have went by and picked him up. But yeah, he's a good kid.
We'll get him later in the.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love to come in and do this.
We'll definitely get
He
him.
talks more than I do too. So
Some people are easy to interview and some people are hard. And, this being our first one, of course, we've had some practice interviews. And, of course, she's been interviewing people for 40
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
but this is a different
she
setting,
intimidates me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What? This intimidates me. All these
Get out of here.
cameras, lights, action.
When my daughter gets around her, it's like she's Jesus. I mean, my daughter, she is a true superstar around my daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter just, worships the
How old is
ground
she?
She's 10 years old.
Oh yeah.
She is so cute. Her name's Aspen. She's a little doll baby.
she's got my heart, and
Yes, I
so I
hear you.
know, and I can just imagine Aspen being and wanting to do music, and I could just see that she had that drive or something like Jason had. I could see where I would sleep in a van to make that happen for her, like you did.
Yeah, you do what you have to.
Absolutely,
I mean,
no,
we
no
were
questions
really,
asked.
and Jason knows this, and Cassie, we were really pinching pennies to make his. We knew he didn't want to go to college. Cassie wound up graduating UGA, but he didn't want to go to high school. So
Right.
but
So he sure
he
didn't want to
did.
go to college.
No, he didn't want. So we channeled that energy and what little money we had toward that. So to help, who knew it was going to work?
Right.
I mean, you don't know, but if you don't try it, I can guarantee you it's not going to work.
Yeah, if you don't try, it's definitely not going to work out for you.
Nope. So
Definitely paid off.
It did,
Definitely paid
and
off.
I couldn't be prouder, and it's working out for him.
You guys can go out on Thursday or Friday or whatever and come back Sunday, Monday. But at some point in time, when the younger kids were not born, you guys would be on the road 200 and something days a year.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be no coming home on the weekend.
No,
right?
I didn't travel with Jason that much then. I'd go out every once in a while.
Mhm.
I couldn't back in the early days because they had one bus and had eight or
Everybody
nine,
was on.
everybody, management, the band, the crew, they had one bus. There'd be 10 people and a driver on it. So I'd meet them at shows. I'd go to shows, but yeah, it was rough back in the. He would do 300 dates a year. He'd be gone 300 days a year, and now he'll do 60 days.
Right. That works out a lot better for the schedule.
Oh yeah. So, and now he's, his bus. It's probably over $1 million bus,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's got stuff. It's got 7 TVs, I think, and 4 slides on it. It's like being like being at a home. I wish I'd have had growing up, you know. But
That's right.
it's but they enjoy it out there. But it's still not a great place for kids to be on the road. They get bored, so
I'm sure.
I just take them to my house and
I'm sure they. What do they call you?
paw.
Pawpaw.
Yeah.
I got a pawpaw. There you
Yeah,
go.
so-
Speaking of pawpaw, you know, when I first bought the Dairy Queen in gray about 4 years ago, it was super important for my pawpaw to buy the first Blizzard and the first food from me. Like, it was super important for him. And so I saw a picture of you the other day at the Macon Coliseum, and you were holding up a credit card to go buy a ticket
Yeah.
for Jason's concert. Was that and you know, I look at it and I know, and I'm looking at the small things. You know, it was actually a credit card. It wasn't a debit card.
No,
So
well, I
you
have-
you might have had to been borrowing that money to
Yeah,
go.
it
but
was advance money. Yeah.
there you go. You see
That
what I mean?
December 10th, 19.
Yeah, I saw Laura that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I said 1910.
1910. Y'all been
Seems
around
like
a long
it, yeah.
time.
Okay, it was December 10th of 2010.
Right.
And Jason was going to play a show in Macon. This was, of course, back before Ticketmaster. I mean,
Right.
if you wanted a ticket, you took your cash or your credit card and you stood in line at the Coliseum.
Yep.
And it was cold. Man, it was cold out there.
Nasty. Yep. I remember that day.
Yeah, people were standing in line and get down there and about 6 people deep, there's Barry in line.
I got there early to get.
You
my
were getting
ticket.
good
And I
tickets,
was
not
like-
just
I
any
would buy- yeah.
tickets.
I
There
was
you
like,
go.
Barry, what are you doing? He goes, I got to buy some tickets for the concert. And so I'd say to the crowd that's all around, I'm like, do y'all know that you're standing in line with Jason Aldean's daddy? I mean, he's like right here. He's fixing to buy tickets too.
And I don't want people to think Jason didn't give me a ticket. We have, you know,
Right,
we
a
can get in all that. But
Oh, yeah.
For family and stuff, I'd go. I'm making sure they're going. Somebody's going.
Absolutely.
So I'd
We've
get the
got
ticket.
friends. We got friends that are entertainers and they travel the country and that's how they pay their family. And there's no way we would ask them for free tickets to their
Right.
show. That's just off the table. They're not going to come to my store and ask me for
No.
free food. And I want to pay for that. And so that's always been probably a point of pride for you is
Yeah.
as much as you could, you wanted to support the,
And I still, well, when CDs were still a thing, I don't know how to do it now with the streaming, but I always go buy 10 CDs.
right?
I don't care.
There you go.
I bought
Right.
every time. I'll go to when Walmart carried CDs, I'd buy 10 CDs.
That's right.
That's my, you know, I just
I
feel
still
good
buy
about that.
CDs.
I do too if I
I
can
can
find
find
them. Yeah, you can't find them anymore, but I'd buy them and give them out. But
Right.
to me, yeah, it didn't put much money in his pocket, but it showed. It
Oh, yeah.
made me feel good that I was supporting.
It was the point. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's,
No.
it's about the point of it, you know, and that is-
I did the ticket thing. Well, it was another time he came to Macon, or it might have been that time. I bought I had like $7,000 worth of tickets. People from the base that were going, and
right.
I'm like, "You sure you want to go?" Yep. And I bought them. Well, his management company called me and said, "Man, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm getting people to the show." You
Right.
know, that
We're
there
going
was
to
a
fill
lot
these
of
seats
people.
up.
They said, "Well, good." Said because you know, because of a different name, Live Nation.
Right.
They didn't know who I was.
Mhm.
They thought I was scalping tickets.
They didn't want any middlemen out there. They wanted all
No,
the money.
trust me, this show's got to happen too.
Right.
I'm going to be broke. You know, I bought all these tickets.
It's
Absolutely.
interesting because when I was going through photographs, I also found from 2009 a poster for Jason and Luke playing together at the Coliseum. It said Jason Aldean, opening act, Luke Bryan, all tickets under $35.
Yeah,
Wow. Even the
That's
good
something.
seats.
don't have it now.
And now, I mean, you know, and you just can't help it. It's just the cost of things. That's, I mean, a lawn ticket now is what, $100?
But I will tell you that people who buy the tickets and then turn around and resell them
Oh man.
make me mad.
Yeah.
That makes me so mad.
Well, they're doing now. They've kind of got a handle on that. You've got to show ID, and like the ones that down here at the Opera House Thursday night.
Yeah, they're
friend-
non-transferable.
Well, I gotta work on that. I have a friend in Florida that bought 3 tickets. They were coming up, and now they all got sick. So I've got a friend here in Macon that's buying those tickets
Right.
from her. So I gotta got to see who I can pull a string with to get her in.
Get them transferred.
Yeah,
I
'cause they
believe
couldn't
you can
make
probably
it, and
pull
she
a
needed
string.
tickets, and so
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, yeah, we're going to be down there that night. Me and Laura, we've got us. We got some good seats, and back a couple of months ago, it was in July. You talking about the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital? I don't even know if Laura told you about this, but she's a big player in this, a huge part of this. She promotes it across the Central Georgia for sure for months and months and months, and she pushes it. And it's called Miracle Treat Day at Dairy Queen in Gray. And so that's a day where every dime of our sales go to the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital, but also every dime is also matched. And this past year, it took on a life of its own. There was 25 businesses or so that had matched the top sales hour. So Laura was part of and one of the main driving forces of raising in one day $150,000 for the Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital.
And that's very
That's
sweet
great.
of Justin to say that, but I can assure you that he works year round, making sure that money is going to come into that Dairy Queen that day. And I will tell you, Justin has had the #1 Dairy Queen in the country in Gray, Georgia.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yay.
So right here in
Well,
Gray,
good for
Georgia.
you.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
It's about 20 months in a row. And after the podcast, I've got us some blizzards over here sitting in the
That's
freezer.
great.
They're ready
That's-
for us.
I'm
That's
ready.
the
I'm
podcast
ready for it.
partner you want right there.
I
The guy
love
that
Dairy
can
Queen.
There we go.
Yeah, the guy that can supply the blizzards.
That's right.
Yes, I want a podcast
But
with
I'm
that guy.
I'm the banana split guy.
Oh, yeah, man.
I love
You
good
can't go wrong with a good
No,
banana
no.
split. That's
So-
awesome.
Well, I can hook you up with some Dairy Queen because I know a guy.
Do you know?
Yeah, absolutely
Let's
have the
do
Dairy
it.
Queen hookup for sure. So, we're getting out here toward the end of the podcast, and we're talking about, and we're all dressed up in camouflage and that kind of thing, and we was talking about maybe going outside and trying to shoot something. Of course, it's in the middle of the day. It's about 3:00. The doves aren't out there yet. But is there some kind of hunting story that maybe you could tell that you and Jason had did something amazing that you thought was maybe you never would have done?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things. We, he compares his hunting now to what when he was a kid. I'd bring him up. We'd go to Monticello hunting, and I had friends there to let us hunt. Well, that was back before he was like 8 years old, 9
Right.
years old. That was back before all this fancy hunting gear. We couldn't have afforded it anyway. But so he talks about, I had to wear socks on my hands, which is not true, but.
Oh,
I remember doing that
But
myself.
Yeah. And 5 jackets. I couldn't even get the gun up. I had so many clothes on. But the funny thing was, he called me. He had a deal with one of the outdoor apparel people, and so he called me and said, "You want to do this commercial with me? We're going to shoot a hunting commercial." I said, "Jason, it's July." He said, "Yeah, but they want it out for the football season." I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So we went out to somebody's farm in Nashville. It's hot. So we got all this winter gear on, and they say, "Well, we're going to have you around the campfire." I'm like, "That's great, campfire." Drinking coffee. Y'all will be drinking coffee
In the middle of
Jason
July.
Said nope. Said you got to bring us some beer.
Right.
So we got beer in cups, cold beer. We're drinking around, but it was so hot, and so I leave, and that was right. We went somewhere. I can't remember where. Me and my wife went on a trip. We get back. They fed me barbecue that day, of course, the beer, and gave me the clothes I wore. I'm like, I'm good. That's fine.
That's
with
enough
me.
for you.
I get back home, and my daughter had picked up our mail. She said, "You got all this stuff from entertainment company or something?" I'm like, "What?" So I start opening. It was like, I think there was 20 envelopes. Here these checks are in there. $2,000.
Wow.
$5,000. I'm like, somebody made a mistake. So I called these people. I said, "What is this?" "Oh, that's for that commercial you did. It aired during the first day of SEC football."
Right. Oh,
Every time it would air on TV, depending on what time and the audience, they'd send me a check.
you
So
got.
Jason, I said, "Dude, we need to do this more often. I like that." So
That's awesome. Yeah. So that's even better than hunting. That's making
Oh,
money
yeah,
wearing
yeah.
hunting stuff. So
it was hot. But on that shoot too. Like I said, it was really hot, so we had to move from that campfire to a area where we were going. You can pull it up on YouTube or whatever. You can see the commercial. So we're going over there, and Jason, in his words, I can't tell you what they were, said to me how hot it is out there. What parts of his body were sweating.
Right.
So we see these people in a tent over there. There's probably 100 people on the shoot. We see the people in the audio tent over there. They're busting out laughing. I look over and they said, "Your mics are hot."
We can hear everything you're saying.
So they heard it all.
That is awesome stuff. That is awesome
That
stuff.
is great stuff.
Man. Well, we're glad you came to spend some time with us. Like I say, I have heard nothing but great stories about
Thank you,
from Miss
Justin. I
Laura.
appreciate that.
Beverly Annette Olson talks so good about you. She's just big, tremendous things, and she'll tell you the truth about people.
Well, and that's what I like.
Right.
If I'm
Absolutely.
messing up, tell me. That's what I want to hear it. But that's good, and thank you all for having me on your maiden podcast.
The maiden voyage.
There. Yeah, maiden voyage.
Yes,
yeah.
and
sir.
we do appreciate you so much, and you're gonna have to come back down and hang out with us and bring
I will.
Vivian.
Yeah, I will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll get her on the air with us, and
Thank you for coming down. And we want to make sure that the people that you've been mentoring and the people that you've taken under your wing, all those artists up in Nashville, we want to make sure that we come to Nashville. And we hope that you enjoyed it. I enjoyed just being a part of it. This has been a wonderful thing. And, I hope that it is going to encourage folks to do something good, because I believe if you can do something good, then you should do something good. Is that right,
Yes,
Laura?
Sure.
There we
That's
go.
Right. That's
That
what
is
Justin
right.
says, and I'll tell you, he lives it as well.
well,
we
good. Well,
So let's
good.
go. Let's go get some Dove.
Let's do it, and good luck with this. And
Thank you.
anything we can do to help,
Awesome.
we'll do it. Thanks.
Oh, I gotta pull the trigger.
And a good shot, too.
No rules when you come out my way. That's why my field stays packed on Fridays. We hunting, fishing, good living, just soaking up every country second we're giving.